At certain points in the long journey of faith, something significant draws near not because of noise or spectacle, but because the atmosphere itself seems to change. It is the kind of stillness that comes before a difficult truth is spoken, before a judgment is rendered, before a path quietly bends in a new direction. These are the moments that only reveal their full meaning years later, when people look back and realize that what seemed calm on the surface was actually the beginning of a deeper shift. January 7th and 8th stand out as such a moment. On these 2 days, Pope Leo XIV will preside over the first extraordinary consistory of his pontificate. This will not be a routine gathering or a purely ceremonial event. It is designed as a working meeting, carefully structured and tightly regulated, and deliberately different from the consistories many cardinals have known throughout their ecclesial lives. From the outset, it is clear that this gathering is meant to signal something new, not so much in doctrine or immediate decisions, but in method and style. If you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos like this, because what you're about to hear is not just news, it's a wake-up call for every heart that still believes truth should burn brighter than silence. Now grab your rosary, quiet your spirit, and let your heart listen, not just with ears, but with faith. This consistory will not unfold as a series of long speeches delivered before a single grand assembly. It will not resemble the traditional image of cardinals rising one by one to address the whole body. Instead, it follows a precise and pre-established method. Everything has been planned in advance. Time is measured, movement is organized, and speech itself is carefully framed. Even before the first word is spoken, the structure already communicates a message: this is not business as usual. In the Church, the way something is done often speaks as loudly as what is said. For that reason alone, this consistory invites close attention. According to detailed information shared by Diane Montana, the framework has been defined almost down to the minute. On the afternoon of January 7th, the cardinals will arrive and register, walking through familiar Vatican corridors with a sense that expectations have changed. They will gather in the Paul VI Hall, a space that itself reflects a modern chapter in the Church's history and her ongoing effort to engage the contemporary world. Yet the true beginning of the consistory does not come with greetings or instructions. It begins with prayer. In the Senate Hall, the proceedings will open with a moment of communal prayer, an intentional act meant to ground everything that follows in the presence of God. Whatever disagreements or tensions may exist beneath the surface, the gathering formally places itself before God first. After this prayer, the Dean of the College of Cardinals will offer a greeting. It is a formal moment, but also a symbolic one, because after it, attention turns fully to Pope Leo XIV. His introductory speech is the pivotal moment of the entire consistory. It is not simply an opening address. It is the point at which the Pope defines how everything will proceed. In that speech, he will explain how the consistory will be conducted, outline the method of participation, communicate the operating procedures, and establish the limits of debate. Before any topic is discussed, the framework itself will be set. Once established, it will not be open to negotiation. This marks a decisive break with older models of consistories, which were traditionally places of open, orderly, plenary discussion where cardinals addressed the entire body and disagreements unfolded in full view. That model has now been set aside. In its place comes a structure based on 3 sessions spread over 2 days, using the working group method. This approach, increasingly common in recent years and closely associated with the broader synodal process, replaces one large assembly with multiple smaller circles. Instead of direct dialogue among all cardinals, discussions take place in segmented groups. Instead of spontaneous plenary debate, conclusions are distilled into summaries that are presented later. The cardinals will be divided into small working groups, each tasked with discussing assigned topics and producing a shared report. These reports are not meant to capture the full range of debate, but what the group can agree upon within limited time. They are conclusions rather than living conversations. Adding to the sense of uncertainty is the fact that the criteria for forming these groups will not be disclosed in advance. Cardinals will not know ahead of time who they will be grouped with, what balance of perspectives will exist, or what role they themselves will play. Only after the Pope's opening speech will the group compositions be revealed. This effectively neutralizes traditional preparation, strategy, and alignment. Everyone enters the process without knowing where they will land. The first session on January 7th will be devoted almost entirely to this group work. Once divided, the cardinals will withdraw into private discussions. There will be no public interventions, no immediate sense of the broader assembly's mood, and no direct exchange between groups. Discussion will take place in confined spaces, within limited time, on assigned topics. The session will conclude later in the afternoon with another address from the Pope and a further moment of prayer. By this point, it becomes clear that this is not merely a technical adjustment. It represents a redefinition of what a consistory is meant to be. This shift has not gone unnoticed. Within ecclesiastical circles, concerns have already begun to surface, expressed carefully and respectfully, but unmistakably. The central concern is whether this method truly allows the College of Cardinals to speak as a unified body. When discussions are confined to small groups, direct dialogue among all cardinals is reduced. Voices are filtered through summaries, nuances are compressed, and minority positions risk being lost altogether. A gathering that once allowed every voice to be heard in the same room now risks becoming an exercise in managed consensus. This raises deeper questions, not only about procedure, but about power. Who truly speaks? Who listens? And who ultimately decides what reaches the Pope's ear? As night falls on January 7th, the cardinals will leave their meeting rooms carrying thoughts that may never be spoken publicly. Ideas will remain confined to small circles. Concerns will linger without a forum for full expression. Hopes will be phrased cautiously, if at all. Beneath it all lies a growing awareness that this consistory is not about immediate decisions. It is about style, governance, and the kind of relationship Pope Leo XIV intends to cultivate with the College of Cardinals in practice, not just in theory. The following morning, January 8th, begins beneath the vast dome of St. Peter's Basilica. Before any report is presented or speech delivered, the cardinals gather for Mass. This liturgy is more than a ceremonial opening. It is a reminder of what unites them more deeply than rank, nationality, or personal perspective. They are successors of the apostles, servants of the Eucharist, stewards rather than owners of the Church. Yet even within this sacred setting, tension quietly remains. Once the final hymn fades and vestments are set aside, the consistory resumes, and with it, the constraints of the structure return. The morning session is dedicated to the presentation of the working group reports. One by one, summaries prepared behind closed doors are brought forward. Carefully worded and harmonized, these reports often smooth over disagreement. They represent not the full depth of discussion, but what could be agreed upon within limited space and time. What is presented now will shape how the consistory is remembered, because it is these summaries, not the private debates, that become visible. After the reports, the schedule allows time for free interventions. In theory, this suggests openness. In practice, it is tightly constrained. The number of cardinals is large, time is short, and the program leaves little room for extended reflection. Interventions must be brief, focused, and controlled. There is little space for complex theological or pastoral arguments, and almost no opportunity for spontaneous exchange. Some cardinals will speak, many will not. Some perspectives will shape the record, others will quietly disappear. A shared lunch with the Pope follows, officially described as a moment of fraternity and communion. It will undoubtedly include cordial exchanges and informal conversation. But it is not a structured forum for debate. No minutes are taken, no positions formally recorded, and no disagreements addressed in an official way. What is said there remains personal and ephemeral, not institutional. The afternoon brings the third and final session, following the same pattern: further reports, additional limited interventions, and the constant pressure of time. Late in the afternoon, Pope Leo XIV will deliver his concluding address. He will close the consistory, frame its meaning, and offer the interpretation that is likely to become the official narrative. The gathering will end with solemn prayer, an appropriate conclusion that nonetheless leaves unresolved questions behind. Criticism of the method does not focus solely on time management. It reaches into the heart of ecclesial governance. The Pope opens the consistory, defines the method, directs the flow, and concludes the discussion. The cardinals participate, but always within boundaries they did not shape. For some, this reflects a necessary clarity of leadership in uncertain times. For others, it feels like a top-down model, even when expressed in synodal language. The shift from plenary debate to small working groups changes not only how discussions happen, but what kind of truth can emerge. Into this carefully controlled environment comes another element that cannot be ignored. In the days leading up to the consistory, a proposal concerning the ancient Roman rite circulated among numerous cardinals. It is not officially on the agenda, but its timing suggests it may surface indirectly in group discussions or free interventions. Liturgy is not a marginal issue. It touches identity, memory, and faith itself. If such a sensitive topic is discussed only in fragments, without a clear plenary debate, the risk is not simply disagreement, but disconnection. The College of Cardinals may leave with fragmented impressions rather than a shared vision. As January 8 draws to a close, the consistory will end without dramatic announcements or immediate decisions. Its importance lies not in outcomes, but in what it reveals about listening, authority, and the balance between structure and freedom in the Church. Above all, it reveals how Pope Leo XIV intends to govern when the stakes are high. When the final prayers fade and the doors close, what remains is not resolution, but a question. This consistory is not about what is decided, but about how the Church listens to itself. Supporters see a method that encourages focus and prevents disorder. Critics see one that limits transparency and centralizes control. Beneath both perspectives lies a deeper issue of trust, trust in open debate, trust in collective discernment, and trust that truth can emerge through honest disagreement. This first extraordinary consistory becomes a test, not of doctrine or orthodoxy, but of governance. History will not judge it by headlines, but by its echoes, by how future decisions are made, how freely cardinals speak, and how deeply the Church trusts the Spirit to work through human complexity. And in the end, it leaves all who care about the Church facing a simple but profound question: what kind of Church do we hope for? One that prioritizes order above all, or one that risks openness in the pursuit of truth? If this message touched your heart, like this video and share your thoughts in the comment or comment Amen and stay with us. More Eucharistic stories, deeper reflections, and holy insights are on the way. May Christ in the Eucharist be your light, your rest, your truth. Amen.